as much as I would like to do the remaining sections on coronavirus, that's a lie. I am sick of coronavirus. I think it's an exaggeration. There is danger out there. But I think history will show us that the real experience of this was not the virus at all, but the disaster that took place in our economy as a result of the reaction to it. And I'm just sick of thinking about it, because there is other things that are going on in the world right now that are equally important, I would say, much more actually significant to the rest of our lives. And I would say underestimated in terms of its importance, whereas this coronavirus, I would say, is being blown very far out of proportion. And what that is the Saudi Arabia-Russia oil price conflict. Pretty much the long and short of it is that Saudi Arabia wanted to cut output in order to bring prices back up. And Russia said, no, we're not going to cut output. We're going to increase output because we need this money. And that's just the end of the story. And the Saudis said, well, if you're going to flood the market, we're going to flood the market more. It's all about who has the most potential to flood. And, you know, this is terrible for them. This is terrible for Russian economy. It's not good for Saudi economy either. It's not good for any economy around the world that depends on oil. And it draws our attention to a truth that seems to be emerging, which is we might have turned a corner in technology, renewable technology, but specifically in storing technology. These battery packs and electric cars and the battery packs associated with them. You know, when it comes to, for instance, Teslas, I would say the battery pack is almost as much of an achievement or more of an achievement in terms of technology and, us as the advancement of mankind. These battery packs are more of an advance than the engines, which everyone are so excited about. You know, Teslas can go 0 to 60 in like less than 2 seconds. Well, that's an accomplishment on the engine side. Now, that engine wouldn't have been possible if there wasn't such a battery pack. So the battery pack was the technology that has been waiting to be developed in order to push all these other technologies forward. And it's so funny to see cars go, gasoline go obsolete. I don't know what other way to say it. There was a value, a practical value to oil. We got our energy from it. We got our transportation from it, from that energy, and we got plastics from it and refined goods. Now, the refined goods are still going to take place. I don't want to get distracted by that. I want to focus on the fact that oil has been the staple of economy, has been that foundational product, has created the greatest fortunes in the world. For a lot of people. I mean, many, many, many of the richest people in the world have done it through oil. In fact, I would say the most rich people in the world, Rockefellers, the sultans in Saudi Arabia and many of these other countries, Kuwait, those princes there, many of these countries, they hold the biggest fortunes. They hold fortunes so big that you don't even know how much they have. But it's been estimated that the Saudi Arabia king has something more than like $1 trillion. And all of a sudden, before our eyes, in the midst of this coronavirus crisis, super coincidentally, I believe we have turned a corner to where we will never see valuable oil again. It might not be a foundational product to build a country economy on anymore. It's just not going to turn off enough money. If it costs $25 to get a barrel out of the ground, then maybe you can get, 26 for it? 27? Will you ever get 30? Well, then there's an incentive to flood the market again. So it'll just going to hover around that lower price. That's just what I think is going to happen. That's a bad thing for them. It's a bad thing for economies that depend on oil. Including United States, we had a new shale oil revolution going on, world's biggest provider of energy, and all of a sudden not. But I would say that generally lower gas prices are good for everyone, except we can't enjoy it right now because of this corona coincidence. It's no time for conspiracy theories, but it's really irritating that it's happening at the same time because it's cause for celebration. You know, you can fill up your tank of gas for not that much. Airplanes will be able to function for much cheaper. Probably oil can be used directly for energy on some level. It's just a bonanza. I mean, free energy or cheap energy is the foundation of economic growth. I mean, no doubt. There's no limit to what you can build if you have unlimited energy, and that's what, $30 a barrel oil certainly feels like. So I wanted to touch on this, I would say historically critical series of events. I wanted to touch on them because it leads us into our profiles of success for this week. And that is, I wanted to focus on the Gigafactory that Tesla owns, where they make the batteries for their Tesla vehicles and other things as well. They make industrial components for batteries, and they started it several years ago, and only within the last few months have they turned the corner to where now it's officially a profitable venture. And I think the whole world was waiting to see it. The whole world was waiting to see if we would get to 2020 and the promise of the Gigafactory, which was started in 2014, was finally fulfilled to where they had actually started to become profitable on the battery level, on the energy preservation level. Could they be profitable on that level? And the moment the answer became yes, the Gigafactory is a success. There's articles on the internet with the banner that says Gigafactory successful. Why would they say that? Why would they say that now? Is it because all of a sudden they're opening a new Gigafactory in China? Or they're thinking about opening a new Gigafactory in Austin, Texas? Or that they've expanded from 1 to 4 Gigafactories already in different locations successfully? Well, it's because we reached that deadline point to where it said we've become fully realized and now we will see the true numbers as they function. And we got to 2020 as was promised, and indeed, it's a profitable venture. What did you see immediately? World energy prices collapse. It's not because we're not going to use oil anymore. It's just because we're going to be able to store the energy much more efficiently, and we're going to be able to therefore use less energy. We're going to need less standby energy. The cars, not only have we mastered energy storage, but we've actually created cars in Tesla and some of these other electric cars that are coming out that are much more efficient of using that energy. So we have enhanced storage and enhanced efficiency in usage at the same time. It's a devastating turn of events for world energy providers because suddenly cars are much less dependent on oil. End of story. And I think other equipment is going to follow suit. If we have energy storage, electric engines and electric motors become much more efficient than gas motors. Much more. It was always about being able to store that energy. And now that has happened, it's a new world. And I think it's such a new world that the people who are in power in this world are very nervous about it. And I think it's a threat to the established order in a lot of ways. Oil backed empires. Oil protected entire populations militarily. Oil created conflicts, but it also prevented conflicts. It caused Germany to want to be on a healthy relationship with Russia, which would have happened for no other reason than energy. There's a lot of relationships like that around the world. That energy is the glue. Oil is the glue that holds these societies together. I tell you, if oil goes out of favor, I very much doubt Dubai is going to continue to be this developing place. I would be willing to bet that in 150 years, Dubai will start to return to the sand because there's no reason for it to be there. Because this population is not going to be making money the same way that they used to. If in 100 years the Saudi Arabia economy is the same that it is now, I will be shocked. It could happen much faster. I think that the king and them are going to take the money and run. And so you're not going to have the same nucleus of wealth that you had before. And obviously Russia is in deep trouble. They're spurring all of this on by their inability to stop pumping. They need every dollar they can get. They'll double, they'll triple, they'll quadruple production because, oh my goodness, this product that we depend on is going obsolete, and we have way more of it than we could ever sell. It's happening right now before our eyes. And I think it's a threat to the power structure all over the world. And it's hard for me to not acknowledge that there is such an overwhelming coincidence by this historic event, this historic obsolescence of oil. It is, if you were to write the story of our civilization, our world civilization for aliens to read, the obsolescence of oil and the transition to a new energy source, that goes in the book. Coronavirus, maybe. Election of Donald Trump, not at all. Rise and fall of economies around history, not important. But us as a people switching from an oil source, and before that, a wood source, wood to oil to still oil, but with enhanced storage abilities. It is a cosmic event. Not cosmic, but at least global, at least globally historic. And it's happening, and we're not even paying attention to it. And that alone causes me to wonder if it's actually a coincidence or not. And so for this Profiles of Success, I would just like to give a big shout out to the people at Tesla and the people at the Gigafactory and even Elon Musk for just being good at life. And, I think what they've done is grossly underestimated. And I think it could be a beautiful future if we can just get over this coronavirus, walk our American industry, energy industry into other industries. I mean, you're going to have to repurpose that workforce to a certain level. No doubt, that's got to happen. So it probably should start happening as soon as possible. And, so you take away Corona, repurpose the energy sector employees, and suddenly you have extremely inexpensive gas. Our lives become much cheaper. Everything in our life becomes cheaper. Cheaper to produce, cheaper to go where you want. The machines that harvest your food operate cheaper. The machines that are put together for cheaper because energy is cheaper at every step of the way. It's like, I don't know. It's a beautiful reality that is beginning to emerge economically at the same time of this coronavirus. And it's so suspicious. I can't get over it. But I think it's reason to feel positive, and I think it's reason to look into the next week look for something else. Keep your eyes on the oil price. Keep your eyes on the gas price. It's a beautiful time right now, if we can just survive. So I just want to thank you for coming to our podcast. This is our third one. There's so much to talk about. I feel like I never actually properly express, everything that there is to say. I can only hope that I organized my thoughts properly to be somewhat useful. I really hope each one of these sections is useful at pinpointing the business truths of technology and the times and, how other people have done it and the significance of their work. This week it's Gigafactory. Last week it was Carl Icahn, who is just a wonderful investor. And the week before that, it was, of course, Dale Carnegie, who is sort of my personal type of mentor. And I just, I hope you come back next week. Next week, we want to talk about virtual reality and home entertainment. So it's a little bit more of what we talked about this week. We'll have a new Profiles in Success. And I'm just very happy to be with you in this time. And I thank you for watching. Have a great week.